In the twisted alleys of Arkham and the shadowy corners of Gotham, the villains of DC Comics reign supreme, each with their own brand of chaos and anarchy. But what if we plunged these iconic characters into the abyssal depths of H.P. Lovecraft's Eldritch universe? The result is a nightmarish gallery of DC villains reimagined as Lovecraftian monsters, where the horrors of the mythos meld with the madness of Gotham's worst to create something entirely new, yet terrifyingly familiar. From the botanical seductress Poison Ivy to the fractured psyche of Twoface, these reimaginings peel back the layers of mere criminality to reveal entities that are a perfect fit for Lovecraft's universe of unspeakable horrors and mind-bending realities. In this video, we will dive into this macabre makeover, re-envisioning the top 10 Batman villains through a lens of cosmic horror that would make even the Dark Knight shudder. Let's begin, shall we? Just before we go into our video though, we have a small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. It's a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Now let's begin. The Joker. Imagine taking the Joker, the iconic agent of chaos, and dropping him into the eerie abyssal depths of Lovecraft's universe. What you get is not just a villain, but a creature that redefines the word nightmare. The Lovecraftian Joker isn't your garden variety bad guy. He's a distorted, elongated humanoid that seems to have been pulled straight from the most unsettling of dreams. His skin, pale as a ghost, stretches over an unnaturally long frame. The face. Oh, the face. It's a grotesque exaggeration of the Joker's trademark grin, now filled with an array of needle-sharp teeth, more like a deep-sea monster than anything human. And the eyes? Large, dark, unblinking. They're windows into an uncharted realm of madness. From its head and back, the tentacles writhe and twist, adding a sense of perpetual unnerving motion. The hands, if you can call them that, are elongated with claw-like fingers, ready to snatch at the sanity of anyone who dares look too long. As far as the suit is concerned, once again, it's a horrific version of what the Joker normally wears, with colours that seem to be in a constant state of flux, as if defying the very laws of reality. It's less a suit, and more a living, breathing entity of its own. I believe his laugh would echo like an otherworldly sound that chills to the bone. The Riddler. In this Lovecraftian take at the crazy Batman villain, the Riddler is imagined as a humanoid being that crawled from the depths of an otherworldly sea. With an elongated, sinuous form draped in robes marked with cryptic symbols, he can be called the embodiment and manifestation of all form of cosmic mysteries. His skin is of course a murky green, which resembles his suit's colour in the comics, but now his skin itself seems alive, ever shifting with the strange patterns that play across his attire. This creature's face is a mask of riddles, his glowing eyes piercing through the fog of confusion that surrounds him. These eyes, unblinking and hollow, are windows into a mind-obsessed puzzles that torment the psyche. His limbs, long and oddly jointed, allow for an unsettling grace, a physical representation of the perplexing challenges he's known for, and we'd be fools to ignore the aura he exudes. A tangible haze that distorts and ensnares the minds of those around him. This Lovecraftian Riddler, then, is not just a villain with a flair for questions, but a creature that personifies the very concept of an unsolvable cosmic and otherworldly riddle. A riddle that traps the senses and the intellect, challenging the brave and foolhardy alike. The Scarecrow. The Scarecrow, a staple terror of Gotham, looks absolutely demented after going through a Lovecraftian metamorphosis. He resembles not just a man in a mask, but an entity that might have clawed its way out of the pages of a forbidden tomb. His towering figure looms, its human silhouette stretched and contorted into a form that whispers of ancient otherworldly horror. Where once were hands, now rest claws, elongated and sharp, designed to grasp at the mind as much as the flesh. The head, a homage to the traditional burlap, has bloated into an abnormally large shape with dark sockets that don't just lack light, they seem to devour the light. The face of this Lovecraftian Scarecrow is a landscape of horror itself, with features that writhe and twist, mirroring back at you not just a face, but your darkest fears made manifest. The robes that rest on its frame are less clothing and more a relic, weathered and worn, and from within their folds spill a fear-inducing miasma, a living, breathing counterpart to the Scarecrow's infamous toxin. This creature speaks in hushed tones, a dissonant chorus of whispers that could freeze the blood of even the most courageous. Its mere presence is an assault on the senses, a psychological siege that raises terrors from the depths of the subconscious. In this form, the Scarecrow is the essence of fear itself, an ancient being that manipulates and embodies terror in the worst possible manner, much like a monolith to the unspeakable and the unknowing fear that lurks in the shadowy depths of the human mind. Poison Ivy. The Lovecraftian reimagining of Poison Ivy transforms her into an entity where the botanical becomes the alien. This figure would be a daunting mass of flora, with humanoid roots overtaken by otherworldly vegetation. Her limbs would stretch into countless vines, bearing thorns and leaves of an unsettling, vivid coloration that defies natural palates. Poison Ivy's face, once human, now peers out from the verdant chaos, her features magnified with eyes that glow an eerie green, signaling a presence that is both enthralling and ominous. From where a mouth would be, a nest of tentacles writhes, each tipped with a maw resembling predatory plants ready to ensnare and intoxicate. Her dominion over plant life now extends to strange Lovecraftian flora, which she commands with an uncanny sentience. These plants are distortions of the terrestrial, with spiky tendrils and whispering leaves unnerving to behold. The atmosphere around her is laden with a potent fragrance that confounds the senses, and her passage is marked by the sprouting of an extraterrestrial garden, signaling her otherworldly nature. This interpretation of Poison Ivy is not merely a character with an environmental motive. She represents a fusion of nature and cosmic dread, an avatar of an incomprehensible natural order that is as terrifying as it is majestic. Killer Croc. Killer Croc, whose real name is Waylon Jones, is depicted as having a condition that gives him a crocodilian appearance, complete with scales and elongated teeth. Over time, his condition seems to worsen, making him more beast-like in both appearance and behaviour. Killer Croc's backstory typically involves a difficult childhood with abusive relatives and mockery from his peers due to his appearance, driving him to embrace a life of crime. He is known for his resilience, regenerative healing factor, and expert swimming ability. Throughout his various incarnations in comics, animated series, and films, Killer Croc remains a physically imposing figure with a deep connection to Gotham's underworld and the sewers he often calls home. As if plucked from the depths of Early itself, Killer Croc, in his Lovecraftian reimagining, is a supersized reptile with a vendetta. And on top of that, he is also an entity that could give the old ones a run for their money. This Croc is a Leviathan. His scaly visage now resembles a fortress of armour that gleams with a dark cosmic sheen that would make even the most stoic of Gotham's denizens shudder. His newfound limbs that sprawl in various directions are webbed and clawed. The head, which is still a grotesque tribute to his crocodilian roots, has an arsenal of teeth sharpened to perfection. The eyes are reminiscent of Lovecraft's most malevolent beings. They hold an empty glare that seems to reach out and throttle the soul. Along the spine, the tentacle-like protrusions seem to appear in a wave. The growl that rumbles from his maw is less a sound and more an omen. This is not the Killer Croc of Saturday morning cartoons. This is a beast reborn as a dark god, a monstrous incarnation that transcends traditional villainy and enters the realm of myth. In this vision, Killer Croc has transcended his role as a mere antagonist, becoming the embodiment of an ancient terror, a villain fit to haunt the silver screen with a presence that's both grandiose and chilling. Bane. It will take a moment to wrap our heads around the Lovecraftian version of Bane, the infamous DC powerhouse. He is, anyway, a scary guy and becomes worse when reimagined through the Lovecraftian lens. Of course, this is an exacerbation of your typical muscle-bound menace. We're talking about a colossus whose very physique seems to challenge the laws of nature, all forms of nature, even the ones found on alien worlds. His skin is an eerie mix of textures. Parts are rough, almost insect-like, while others have the disturbing transparency of a deep-sea creature, so that you can tell the inner workings of this grotesque monster's anatomy are utterly complex. Where once there was a mask, there's now a writhing nest of tentacles. They resemble a mask, but they're far from it. Of course, these tentacles have quite a few terrible functions and are not just there to intimidate others. And those eyes, buried within a chaos of tentacles, are like embers from a hellfire that radiate a ghastly intelligence. Of course, he doesn't anymore need the drug they call venom. This Lovecraftian Bane draws his monstrous strength from sources unknown, possibly tapping into the abyssal currents of other dimensions. You can see his veins glow with the mysterious energy that pulses and flows through his gargantuan form. His extremities are now monstrous appendages, ending in claws that could probably tear through reality itself. And despite his hulking presence, he would probably move with a silence that's as unsettling as it is unexpected. In essence, Bane has been transformed from brute force of physical terror into a cosmic horror, a being whose very existence could unhinge the minds of the bravest soul. This Lovecraftian Bane is the embodiment of an eldritch nightmare, a force of nature that's both physically overwhelming and existentially daunting. Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze, originally known as Dr. Victor Freeze, is known for his cryogenic suit that keeps him alive in sub-zero temperatures after a lab accident. His character is often depicted as a tragic and complex one, driven to villainy by his desperate attempt to revive his cryogenically frozen wife Nora. If we were to chill Mr. Freeze in a Lovecraftian universe, he'd be less the villain you know so well from the movies, comics and cartoons, and more an icicle of interdimensional dread. No longer just a guy with a freeze ray, he's a hulking figure carved from the very soul of chilly winter. His body would be a sculpture of semi-transparent ice, a window into the bizarre workings inside, dark veins and strange organs pulsating with a life that defies the earthly norms. His head, much like the classic dome helmet, would now be a frozen skull with eyes glowing like two pits of the Arctic night, deep with an ageless yet sinister, chilling sorrow. Where you'd expect a mouth, there would be jagged ice formations or crystalline shards, and those tendrils they'd whip out like the arms of a frosty octopus, each touch draining the warmth from whatever it grasped, leaving behind the chill of space's empty nightly embrace. You might say that this guy would be the child born of the union of the Night King from Game of Thrones and Dementors from the Harry Potter universe. Where this Lovecraftian Mr. Freeze treads, Jack Frost dares not follow. The air around him is an eternal winter, and the ground blooms with frost patterns so intricate they could only be the work of a hell's gardener if hell were bleak and wintry instead of fiery and hot. So he's not just about the tragedy or the tech that led to the tragedy, he's a walking freezing testament to the cold, silent expanses between the stars. The Penguin. The Penguin, born Oswald Chesterfield Cobblepot, is known for his short stature, plump figure, monocle and top hat. The Penguin is also famous for his love of ornithology and trick umbrellas with various technical devices and weapons. Unlike most of Batman's rogues gallery, the Penguin is sane and in control of his actions, which allows him to maintain a unique status in Gotham's criminal underworld. He often operates from his nightclub, the Iceberg Lounge, which provides a front for his criminal activities. Despite his grotesque mannerisms and appearance, he fancies himself a gentleman of crime, preferring to plan crimes with a business-like fashion. Roll out the red carpet and point the spotlight on Gotham's own Oswald Cobblepot, but not as you know him. In this Lovecraftian revamp, the Penguin has ditched the top hat and monocle for a form that's straight from a shadowy underwater abyss. We're talking about a penguin that would make even the most daring deep-sea explorers think twice about a dive. This creature could give the best creature features a run for their money. He looks like a bloated that has been soaking in the otherworldly brine of cosmic oceans. Oswald's classic beak-like nose has transformed into something you'd expect to see on a creature dredged from a trench, not marked on any map. His eyes are tiny pinpricks of calculating coldness that could size up a rival or a meal with the same disconcerting stillness. Instead of his umbrella, he has another tentacled appendage with a reach that's not just physical, but feels like it could drag you down into the depths of madness. How would it move? Well, probably each step an eerie ballet, a blend of ponderous weight and a grace that's anything but human. This is the kind of monster that would have Lovecraft himself reaching for the nightlight. Twoface. Twoface, real name Harvey Dent, was originally Gotham City's district attorney. Harvey Dent is hideously scarred on the left side of his face after a mob boss threw acidic chemicals at him during a court trial. Mentally fractured by this trauma, Dent becomes obsessed with duality and the conflict between good and evil. As Twoface, he relies on the flip of a scarred, two-headed coin to make decisions, leaving his actions to chance. Twoface is characterized by his split personality and is considered one of Batman's most enduring enemies. His personal tragedy and the depth of his character make him one of the more complex figures in Batman's rogues gallery. In this reimagining of Two-Face, the character becomes a living testament to Lovecraftian duality. His form is a ghastly blend of human flesh and alien horror split down the middle. On one side, Harvey Dent's once stoic features are now twisted into an exaggerated grimace of pain and sorrow, his skin ghostly and taut over a skeletal visage. The other half is pure chaos, a writhing mass of tentacles and gnashing mouths in a display of otherworldly horror that defies comprehension. This half is dark and slick, pulsing with malevolent life. This Lovecraftian Two-Face walks with an erratic lurching motion that mirrors his split nature and probably speaks in a chilling cacophony that blends clear articulate tones with the guttural growls of a creature from beyond. He's not just a man torn between two moral paths, he's the embodiment of the cosmic struggle between order and chaos, and seems to be blurring the line between human conflict and the unfathomable mysteries of the universe. Clayface. Initially he lacked any superpowers and merely wore a mask to resemble other villains. Over time, this character evolved and subsequent versions of Clayface displayed actual superpowers that matched the name. These abilities include transforming his body into any shape, size or form, hardening into an impenetrable form, and duplicating the appearance of other characters, which he uses to infiltrate, deceive and attack. Clayface's powers make him one of Batman's more physically challenging opponents due to his malleable form and regenerative health. The Lovecraftian reinterpretation of Clayface transforms him into an entity of pure eldritch chaos. This massive being possesses no stable or consistent form. Its dark, mutable body, a mass of shifting malleable matter that ceaselessly contorts and reforms. It's a tableau of horror, with transient limbs and features that are here one moment and absorbed back into its bulk the next. Its colour, a deep, abyssal black, swallowing the light, obscuring its boundaries and giving it a sinister, indistinct form. The substance of its body oscillates between the solid and the liquid, crafting a visage that is both gelatinous and disturbingly organic. The horror of this Lovecraftian Clayface lies in its formless appendages, which emerge from its mass with dreadful spontaneity. Taloned hands and gaping maws, each lined with rows of sharp teeth, all serving its dreadful intentions. It presumably moves with a slow, relentless progression, embodying an unstoppable force of nature that seems alien to our reality. This Clayface is not merely a shapeshifter but a manifestation of the unknown, a being that represents the fear of losing oneself to the incomprehensible. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, let us know down in the comments. We might come back with more similar videos where we reimagine heroes and villains from a Lovecraftian standpoint.